Dale Earnhardt Jr. says that Junior Motorsports is closer than they've ever been to going cup racing. And can we talk about Noah Gragson's historic Xfinity Series win streak? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. This will be a Junior Motorsports focused episode. There are a ton of stories and quotes circulating throughout the NASCAR ecosystem right now, but I wanted to piece these two topics together. We'll have time in the next day or two to address some other topics. Before we get to everything though, this episode is sponsored by my friends at Pristine Auction. PristineAuction.com is an online sports memorabilia website where you can bid on and win amazing, authentic items. They have tons of signed NASCAR memorabilia, stuff from your favorite drivers past and present. It's free to register on PristineAuction.com. It's free to bid. You only pay for the items that you win. Remember, with Pristine, the authenticity is guaranteed. If you're registering for the first time, be sure to use our special promo code GROOVE to get $10 off your first winning purchase. I always love scrolling through the NASCAR categories and seeing what kind of new deals are present each and every week. Go check it out for yourself, pristineauction.com. Click that link down in the description. Before we talk Junior Motorsports, we're still awaiting NASCAR's official penalty report from Texas. It'll probably drop either later this afternoon or evening, or maybe tomorrow. So by the time you're watching this, we may know if William Byron's gonna face a penalty for spinning Hamlin out under caution, or if Ty Gibbs will get penalized for door slamming Ty Dillon on pit road. Two very different instances. I expect punishment coming for both. In the case of Ty Gibbs, the fact that there was a pit crew, NASCAR officials right there next to him when he door slammed Dillon, I do think NASCAR will take a strong look at that. I don't expect a suspension or anything, but probably a fine, maybe a points penalty. I don't know if I'd go that far. My guess is it'll be a fine. In the case of William Byron, he is absolutely going to face some sort of penalty once NASCAR finally goes back and reviews the footage. Will he face a points penalty? He's in the playoffs, in the heat of a championship battle. My guess is yes, he will be docked some number of points. I've seen some call for him to be suspended. I don't think they'll go that far. There is precedent for it. In the Truck Series, when Kyle Busch wrecked Ron Hornaday at Texas in 2011, he was suspended a race. In, I think, 2019, was it? I don't remember. A few years ago, it was Johnny Sauter wrecked Austin Hill under caution. He also was suspended a race for that. Now, in both those cases, especially the Kyle Busch one, there was a little heavier contact involved, sent a guy straight into the wall, or, plowed him repeatedly in the case of Sauter. Byron was more just a bump and spin. No damage was done to Hamlin's car. He just lost track position. So I expect them to dock Byron some number of points. I do not expect him to be suspended. I just don't see NASCAR suspending a playoff driver during the playoffs for that. As a Matt Kenseth fan, one of my earliest memories was when Kenseth and Kevin Harvick took turns spinning each other out under caution at Pocono in 2004. I went back and looked to see what sort of penalties they faced. Both drivers were fined. They both were docked, I think, 10 positions. They were also both scored as the last two finishers on the lead lap. So in that case, they faced a points penalty and a fine. I expect something similar for William Byron. Anyway, just wanted to touch on those two ongoing stories real quick. Now let's shift gears to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Junior Motorsports. We'll talk Noah Gragson in a moment, but after Gragson's win at Texas this weekend, Dale Jr. spoke to the media and answered questions about Junior Motorsports' future. Are they still considering going cup racing? How close are they to making that a reality? Here's what Dale Earnhardt Jr. said. We always have looked at how we can get to cup. I think Kelly Earnhardt said it best recently that we're still kind of 50-50 on how to get there. I think if the opportunity presents itself, we're ready. We're ready to buy a charter if the right opportunity presents itself. Not everybody out there has charters laying around to sell. Every charter that is for sale has a lot of strings attached and a lot of baggage to it. They don't want to sell all the charter, they want to sell part of the charter. It's a real murky, muddy system, right? It's not like you can just make it happen and pull the switch. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. went on to say, quote, I think we're closer than we've ever been to going Cup Series racing. He mentioned Kelly Earnhardt. Recently, she was named the CEO of all of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s companies, and she did do an interview recently where she echoed a lot of the same things Dale Jr. just said right there. They're still looking into it. They are very much interested in going Cup racing, but the stars have to align. It's very complicated. I'm not going to get into weighing the pros and cons of the charter system for the billionth time, but what I do find fascinating is that despite all the bad PR lately, all the issues with the next gen car, how team owners are saying it's been more expensive than they thought it would be this year, new parts likely coming, changes are going to have to be made for next year, charters are upwards of $15-20 million a piece. Despite all of that, people still want to go Cup Series racing. There is still enough faith in the industry in the direction that the NASCAR Cup Series is going. Or maybe that's one way to look at it. I guess another way to look at it is perhaps some of the lower series like the Xfinity Series, their futures are a little less stable. I guess there are maybe two different ways to look at it. I don't think Junior Motorsports would abandon the Xfinity Series if they go Cup racing. They'd probably scale their operation back a little bit, but I just think it's wild that Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the most connected people in the NASCAR garage, is still pushing to go Cup Series racing, despite all the higher prices. Junior Motorsports still has faith in the future of the Cup Series, that they are weighing any and all options to try and get in that series sooner rather than later. I thought Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s comments were very, very interesting. It doesn't sound like they're super close to making a deal happen. I don't think we'll see Junior Motorsports in Cup next year. Certainly not as a chartered full-time entry at this point. I think that's highly unlikely. I won't say it's impossible, but I'd say it's highly unlikely. But maybe by 2024, I'm sure Junior Motorsports is looking to get into the sport around the time of or a little before the next TV contract gets signed. That's just my guess. Maybe they're waiting for it to get signed to really see what the future holds. Perhaps they're just waiting on that. I don't know. Obviously, somebody has to be willing to sell to Junior Motorsports. Two parties are involved. It's not just Dale Jr., as he said, just flipping a switch and saying, we're going Cup racing. It's not that simple, unfortunately. Anyway, just wanted to share that quote with you all. Let's talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s top Xfinity Series driver right now, Noah Gragson. You guys ask me all the time in the comments, Eric, you should do like Xfinity race reviews, even some truck race reviews the same way you do for Cup. And I'd love to. There's just not that many hours in a day, not that many hours in a weekend for me to do race recaps for all three series. But I do appreciate the interest in more Xfinity Series discussion and coverage. You're going to get some of that right here, right now, because Noah Gragson is on an absolute tear. 7 wins on the season. He's won 4 straight Xfinity Series events. The only other driver in Xfinity Series history to do that was Sam Ard, all the way back in the early years of the Busch Series, 1983. Now, of course, Kyle Busch, I think, won his last 5 Xfinity starts, but they weren't in consecutive races. He'd pick and choose. He'd race one, sit out for a few weeks, and then race another one. So as far as winning in consecutive weeks, consecutive races, Noah Gragson, Sam Ard tied with 4. The Junior Motorsports cars have been the class of the Xfinity Series field most of this season, but 4 straight wins is ridiculous. I don't care who you are. What's crazy about this is that earlier this summer, Noah Gragson announced to the world that he's going Cup racing next year for Petty GMS. When he made that announcement, he was just coming off his 3rd win of the season. He got that win at Pocono, having a good season, a solid year. Since that announcement, he's got 4 wins, throw a couple more top 5s in there. Noah Gragson's draft stock has dramatically increased post-draft. To use a stick and ball analogy, Petty GMS all of a sudden looks like they've gotten the steal of the decade. Noah Gragson is an extremely interesting character. He's in his 4th full-time Xfinity Series season, so he's kind of a veteran by Xfinity standards. In recent years, like William Byron was one and done in Xfinity. Guys like Eric Jones ran about 1.5 years. Chase Elliott ran 2. Suarez basically ran 2. Christopher Bell basically ran 2. Tyler Reddick ran like 2.5. Gragson's in year 4. Will those extra years of Xfinity Series experience help him find success quicker when he goes Cup racing next year? I think that's a good question. It all comes down to maturity, both as a race car driver, learning new tricks, learning how to field the car, how to make changes on the car, how to communicate, how to hit your marks every single lap. He's run some Cup races this year, getting a feel for the new car. Maturity as a race car driver is extremely important, and I think these extra years of full-time experience have helped with that. But with Gragson in particular, there's also maturity emotionally, mentally. Just this year, we've seen him get penalized for wrecking a guy on purpose and taking out a bunch of cars. That was back at, was it Road America, right? He's gotten into multiple fist fights with his competitors in recent years. So there's a hot-headedness about him that I think is still there. It does still need some work. Then, of course, there's the throwing up on himself after nearly every win. Hopefully that gets fixed in due time. Gragson's always been a big personality, but now it seems like the results are catching up. If Gragson goes to Cup, and I realistically don't expect him to have a great rookie season, not for Petty GMS. He's driving a car next year that this year has been lucky to crack the top 25. But 2, 3, 4 years down the line, if the results continue to keep pace with the attitude, with the personality, we might have the next Tim Richards Richmond, the next superstar driver. A combination of skill and personality that we really haven't had in NASCAR in recent years. The most talented drivers in the Cup Series these days are Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. Neither driver enjoys the spotlight. Like even Kyle Busch, really talented. Even he's been trying to mellow out recently during his search for a new sponsor. Kevin Harvick's been great on social media lately. Denny Hamlin, I'll throw his hat into the ring. But aside from those two of the most veteran drivers in the series, not a lot of big personality at the top of the leaderboard. I'm hopeful that Noah Gragson can start to change that, because while I love great competition, NASCAR also needs big personalities. Every major sport these days, it feels like, is a star-driven league. I think NASCAR needs to play catch-up there. Noah Gragson could be exactly what the doctor ordered, but the emotional and mental maturity is somewhat of a concern for me. He's been a handful over at Junior Motorsports the last couple of years, behind the scenes. My prediction is that next year, Noah Gragson will finish low 20s in points. I'm going to say like 22nd, 23rd. We don't even know for sure who his crew chief will be, so I'll wait until more information comes out before making a definite prediction. But by year 2, year 3, I won't be shocked if he's up there with Eric Jones, who has a race win this year, both contending for a handful of wins a year. Hopefully the next gen continues to allow a smaller team like Petty GMS to race with the big boys on a consistent basis. You just wonder, if Noah Gragson had won these 4 in a row before signing that deal with Petty GMS, would another team have swooped in and submitted a juicier offer? 7 wins on the year for Gragson. He feels like a first overall pick, and it feels like Petty GMS stole him in the second round. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for Noah Gragson's future. He's chasing an Xfinity Series championship this year. He's driven me a little crazy on occasion in the last few years, but I am rooting for Noah Gragson. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think 7 wins this year make Gragson now a top Cup Series prospect? What kind of expectations do you have for him going into next year with Petty GMS? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. That is going to do it for this episode. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos, any future content. And as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well for going above and beyond to support the show, support the channel. I truly appreciate your help. Tomorrow should have something to announce regarding Talladega. I will be at Talladega. Hopefully we'll see a lot of y'all out there. But yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully going to announce something pretty cool here in the next day or so. Running out of time, trying to make things happen in a short period here. Thank you for watching. I will see you again very, very soon.